The notorious McPike Mansion is so haunted that the list of resident spooks is as long as your arm. From a mist that seems to be intelligent and faces at windows to the smell of lilacs and orbs flying around the room. This much loved property was vacant for over 40 years, and in that time was destroyed by vandals and the elements. It took a lot of love to start bringing light back into the property. This seems to have pleased the past owners of McPike Mansion, as they are very active with the visitors, so active that there are even ghosts rumoured to join the paranormal tours. The McPike Mansion was designed by Lucas Pfeifenberger and completed in 1871 for Henry Guest McPike. It was built on a 15-acre plot of land and featured 16 rooms as well as an extravagant wine cellar. The woodwork throughout the property was beautiful and hand-carved, and there were also 11 marble fireplaces. Even the gardens were amazing, with rare trees, orchards, plants and shrubs. For many years, McPike was a man of many hats. He was a real estate developer, a local businessman, as well as a horticulturist. It was while he was living at the mansion that he perfected the McPike grape, a prize-winning grape perfect for wine. Who would have thought he'd have found time to be Alton's mayor for 3 years, as well as keeping up a friendship with Abraham Lincoln? In fact, he was present when Lincoln received the telegram informing him of his election to the presidency. In 1910, McPike sadly died, but his family continued to live at the mansion until 1936, when they sold it to Brown's Business College, who then sold it on to Paul Leischinger, who opened the building up as a boarding house. It was while it was being purposed as a boarding house that the rumours started to circulate amongst the tenants of strange phenomenon. Each evening, tenants would be awoken by the sound of children playing and laughing in the home. They might be playing somewhere in the distance, on another floor, or maybe even right outside the door. But no matter what the tenants tried to do, no children could be found inside the property. What the tenants didn't realise was that there were children at the mansion. Many years earlier, the McPike family lost two of their children called Henry and Eleanor. There is a private cemetery where their bodies are buried, and it does seem like they are happily haunting the grounds of the property. If you decide to check out their final resting place though, you may be sad to know that with time, the headstones are now in pieces and pretty much unreadable. In 1945, Leischinger died, and the McPike Mansion became vacant, with time becoming a cruel reminder of how long had passed with no one taking care of this once loved property. Paint began to peel away, and the iron fence became a rusted, menacing facade. But if you think that this kept the vandals away, you'd be wrong. With the mansion now standing vacant and known locally to have expensive items inside, you know damn well that this once grand home was stripped to its core. Gone are the carved stairway banisters, historic ornaments, and the 11 marble fireplaces. Windows were smashed with rocks by kids for fun. Who could love this building again? Especially as passers-by also started to notice faces staring out of upper floor windows, and they seemed upset. Due to the building becoming an eyesore, arrangements were made to tear the property down and replace it with a shopping centre. Luckily though, the home was saved and listed on the Register of Historic Places in 1980, but still no one wanted the home until it was finally sold at auction in 1994 to Sharon and George Ludke. The couple had purchased the mansion in the hope of restoring and turning it into a bed and breakfast, as well as historical landmark. But it didn't take long for them to realise they were not alone in their new home. One day, Sharon was doing some gardening in the front yard when she looked up and noticed she was being watched by a man in old-fashioned attire from an upper floor window. After locking eyes with the man, he quickly disappeared. Now, shocked and yet curious as to who the mystery man might be, she did some research and discovered a photo of the spirit, and it was Paul Ludke. And this was the start of Sharon and George's paranormal adventure, as the previous owners of the mansion started to show up, showing their approval for all the time and hard work the couple had put into renovating the old property. So let's have a look at whose spirit stuck around. Henry McPike loved the mansion and grove of fruit trees, but when he died after a brief illness, it seems he was not yet ready to leave the home he built and died in. For over a century, his spirit has been seen and felt by lots visiting the property, leading many to believe his love for his home is eternal. Sharon says that Henry is also joined by his mother Lydia, who even to this day believes herself to be the true matriarch of the McPike family and likes to be introduced to people visiting the mansion. Also, described as being shy but a good spirit, is Mary, Henry's wife, who is particularly drawn to kids. Might this be due to the loss of 2 of her own children who died while young and may haunt the grounds? But the McPike family are not done yet. James McPike and his wife Jenny are also known to haunt the home, with Jenny being the more active, mischievous spirit. She's been known to gently tug on people's hair and touch their ear. How would you feel about that? Would you feel comfortable having your ear touched or hair stroked by unseen hands? If you visit McPike Mansion and smell the scent of lilacs on the breeze, you're probably smelling the perfume from a ghost who psychics say is named Sarah. In life, she was thought to be a servant or assistant to the McPike family, and you can even find a book in the family library that has her name written inside it. When Sharon came into contact with Sarah, she was pleasantly surprised by an invisible hug and a sense of friendliness. The McPike family and staff seem friendly and welcoming to guests now that the home has been reborn under the watchful eye of the Ludkeys. But there have also been encounters inside the property which have left visitors shaken up and nervous of their surroundings. In the cellar, people have heard voices calling out from the shadows, as well as footsteps approaching them.
What's your name?
Creepier yet is the mist that is said to linger around this area and other parts of the house. A mist that seems to be intelligent, that follows guests around, swirling around them, only to then move on to someone else. The mist was even videoed and shown on a news channel where no one could find an explanation for it, leading the only answer to be paranormal. Right? The cellar also has a massive metal door, and they have also been heard scraping menacingly across the floor when no one is nearby, as if an entity is pushing against them, trying to grab the attention of those close by. So intense is the atmosphere in the cellar that one lady on a tour couldn't handle the discomfort she was feeling and so asked to leave and wait upstairs for the group, with another lady assisting her. Just a short while later though, they heard the door opening of movement as if the second lady was returning, but there was no one there. It seems the entity in this area was wanting people to know that it was to blame for the uneasy feeling they were experiencing. The ghosts of the McPike Mansion are certainly active. During a ghost tour one night, a group was left shocked as a full-bodied apparition walked down the stairs, described as wearing a blue gown with hair unnaturally flowing behind her as if blowing in a wind machine, and her feet moving as if ballet dancing. Now you might ask, was it someone dressed up for the theatrics? Not likely, when the spirit was seen to be hovering a few inches off the ground. While walking around the house, there are many guests who have also mentioned seeing other people walking around with the tour, but these people don't seem to see the other visitors, like they're in a world of their own, you might say, leading many to think that ghostly entities may join the tours from time to time. Well, those guests will certainly have got more than they bargained for. Are all the tales of the paranormal at McPike Mansion true? I would edge towards no, as like any old abandoned building, rumours will start to circulate that it looks creepy, so must be haunted. But with McPike Mansion, there does seem to be a lot of evidence to suggest that many of the hauntings here are true. We have the unnatural fog that seems to interact with the living. You have the experiences of the many guests and owners of the property of strange and unusual occurrences going back a century. You may have 1 or 2 spooky stories made up, but the amount of tales this home has is way beyond what you would expect the local teenagers to make up. Have you visited the property, and if so, do you have any tales you would like to share in the comments about what you experienced? This is a truly fascinating haunted location, and one that would certainly set the hairs on the nape of your neck on edge. As always, until next time, dissectors, stay safe out there.